Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 3 of the Digital Lounge channel, otherwise known as the DLC. My name is Andrew Nickel.
I'm Tony Baraka.
And we're coming out of sunny Raleigh, North Carolina this week, as usual. And not a whole lot of news going on this week, so this is going to be a lot of bullet points in this show. And probably shorter than some of the other episodes, but we'll fill what we can in there.
Remember, you can always reach Andrew and myself at thedlconline@gmail.com. As always, we welcome all email, even if it's hate email, because if you send us hate mail, it means that you still care. Recapping last week's episode, we talked in length about a one console possibility for the future. Andrew talked about Diary of the Dead. We also talked about GDC, which was kind of boring, and we
Pretty much
talked at length of Crack.com's top 15 most annoying video game characters. The number one character of which, well, I'll let you watch that video to find out. You can find it on YouTube, episode 2.
Yeah.
This week's episode, in the rundown, we're covering a few of the Choice Oscar winners. We're also going to talk about a website called faildogs.com. Call the fire department. They're scaring wildcats up a tree, and they're not coming down. But on to some of the news for this week. Andrew, you want to kick it off?
Okay, like I said, it's just going to be a bunch of bullet points this week, so we're going to start off with some multi-console news, multi-platform if you will. First up, Bully Scholarship Edition for the 360 and Wii is released this week. This is a game I didn't play. I don't think you did either.
No, I didn't play it. IGN gave the 360 version an 8.7 and the Wii version an 8.0. So even though it came out primarily for the PS2, it's not that bad of a game.
Yeah, like all Rockstar games are pretty decent, so I'm sure a lot of people will be interested in it.
And Jack Thompson hated it, so it's probably really good.
Yep. Other news, Jumper. You can say not jump-worthy this week.
Definitely not.
Jumper was released for all major consoles. What, 360 and PS3, I believe? I don't know. It's not even worth our time, honestly. I think you got 5 straight across the board.
Now, the Wii actually got a 3.9. And by the way, we're talking about the video game version of Jumper, which is Griffin's Story, not the movie. The movie was quite enjoyable, but the video game, it's...
Like most movie games, not very good. Only redeeming factor from that game, I believe, was the original voice acting.
I wouldn't necessarily jump it, but I'd skip it.
Definitely skip it. Oh man, it's definitely slow week.
Not for jokes.
Yep, okay. Moving along, there's been a lot of Street Fighter 4 news this week. A couple of new characters have been out, Balrog and Sagat, all obviously from the previous games. Street Fighter 4 is the first not the first non-2D Street Fighter.
That would be Street Fighter 3 Alpha.
Was it?
Yes.
Yeah. In any case, they're kind of making a departure from the normal 2D animation style, and they're going into a 2D based game, but with 3D models. I'm not sure if I'm excited for it or not. It looks sort of cartoony at the moment, but it's probably still got the good playability.
Well, you call it cartoony. I say that it has a highly anime influenced style. It looks quite awesome. I'm not a big fighter fan, even though I have loved Smash Bros, but that's a completely different area of fighting. I will say so far that Capcom is testing this in arcades in Japan. So both Balrog and Sagat were in the test edition of it, and Capcom at this point says that they aren't playable, but that Sagat was the end boss in these test units, because after you beat Sagat, you got a thanks for playing message. Will M. Bison be in it? Probably, but we don't know for sure at this time.
Yeah, and still no news if that's going to be just an arcade release or if that's going to eventually come to consoles or what, but we'll see. Probably a ways out now. Next news topic, no GTA 4 demo is going to be released before the game.
Nope.
I think the reasoning from everyone is that it's going to be good, so why put a demo out? Everyone's going to buy it.
Take-Two is like, screw it, we don't have to waste our time on a demo, which not only takes time, but it takes resources to create and then put out. They know it's going to be awesome, you know it's going to be awesome. To tell you the truth, you'd buy it even if the demo's stocked. So just put up with it, the game comes out April 29th.
April 29th, hopefully. Yep. Also, Guitar Hero Aerosmith is supposed to be coming out in June for a full cost of $60 with no guitar bundled in. We covered this, I think, in the first episode. I really just don't see a lot of people buying this game. I'm definitely not picking it up.
Nobody really cares about Aerosmith these days, although I hear that the proceeds that the band gets from the game sales are to go into paying off the debt collected from paying for Steven Tyler's collagen injections into the lips.
You're right, you're just not short in the jokes this week.
Not short anywhere this week.
Yeah. So again, I don't care about the game, so moving on.
Moving on. This week, in some of our Wii news, Resident Evil 0 is going to experience a Wii port. It's going to include full Wii controls. However, Capcom says that they're only going to release it in Japan. One could theorize, however, that if it sells enough in Japan or gets enough petition votes or whatever you want to call it, that they'll probably bring it out stateside and in Europe. You can't see them putting that much effort into something and just releasing it in their homeland.
Yeah. I'm a big Resident Evil fan, but I'm kind of trying to wrap my head around why they're remaking Resident Evil 0. It wasn't my favorite game in the franchise. It was still a very solid game, but in my opinion, if I wanted them to remake something, it'd be Resident Evil Code Veronica.
Code Veronica, I agree. Code Veronica was a lot of fun. You also have to remember that Resident Evil 0 follows Rebecca Chambers and Billy Cohen, which was a prequel to the first Resident Evil game that was set in the mansion, and a little bit obscure. I kind of thought that they just went back, looked at the story, figured out how they could add something onto the beginning, and that's pretty much more or less what they did.
Yep, so apparently only coming out in Japan, but yeah, I don't really care. I'm not going to play through it again.
Speaking about Wii ports, apparently Sega feels that all they need to do is take Dreamcast games and burn them onto a Wii disc, because House of the Dead 2 and 3 Return are coming out for the Wii next week, March 11th. Long story short, take your Wii Zapper, shoot some zombies, and complete the game.
That's about it, yeah. I don't know why you want to play this at home.
I can't either, but
and
I mean...
Why not House of the Dead 1? If they're making 2 and 3, why not just throw 1 in there?
Maybe 1 looked too antiquated?
I mean, they're old games, but... again, this kind of falls under the category of not...
I mean, just because they're old doesn't mean that they're not good.
They were good in the arcade.
They're not good
like
because they're not good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a difference.
Yeah, but I imagine they're going to be bundled together probably for like $30 or so. So maybe it's your cup of tea, maybe not. But I'd like to see a little more innovation on the Wii besides some light gun games.
Well, speaking of innovation, I guess, Nintendo's WiiWare channel, we all know, is going to be launching on May 12th. We've covered that already. Its launch game is going to be by Square Enix. It's going to be Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, My Life as a King. However, it's going to retail for 1,500 Wii points, or in American, $15. That doesn't make sense. $15. That's quite pricey for a downloaded game. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I don't really know a whole lot about, Crystal Chronicles. I remember the GameCube game didn't get a very good response.
That's because you have to play with the Game Boy Advance.
Right, but how big is this game going to be? Is this just like a little arcade game? I mean, for $15, if it's a game the length of the original for the GameCube, I don't see why that's a big deal. But I've heard a lot of outlash on the internet today. A lot of people aren't happy over the $15 price point. I don't know, for the game I'm assuming it's going to be, $15 seems pretty fair to me.
Well, you have to remember, Game Boy Advance games retail at almost $20, $25. This, for all intents and purposes to me, is going to be on par with the Game Boy Advance game. I'd expect it to be a lot of game for $15. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Nobody really knows much at all. And lastly in the WiiWare this week, we found out that a company licensed Major League Eating to come out as video games, and it will be out in the WiiWare. So that's all I got. Shoveling food down their throats or shoveling crappy games onto our systems.
Yeah, not even worth talking about, honestly. Moving on. That just makes me too angry. Moving on to some 360 news. Moving on to some 360 news. EGM, Electronic Gaming Monthly Magazine, their April Fool joke for this April Fool's Day, is the announcement of Lego Halo. There's a few pictures been floating around the internet. It was a rumor, quickly got debunked when it found out.
Hey, you mean it's not real?
I hate to break it to you, but no.
What was the last thing?
I don't think Bungie's going to be teaming up with Lego anytime soon. Yeah, so. Moving on from 360, PS3 news. Metal Gear Solid 4 got a release date for June 12th. I don't have a PS3. I'd love to play the game, but huge release. What else can we say about it?
Let me put it this way. Playing as Solid Snake in Metal Gears 1, 2, and 3, pretty cool, pretty BA, if you want to say. Playing as Elderly Snake, just go to your local old folks home, bring some canned green beans, they'll be happy. You don't have to play as Old Man Snake.
Really, there's the jokes.
Senility? That's going nowhere.